welcome to Schiller and Hamilton Law Firm. Welcome to the Schiller and Hamilton Law Firm podcast.
Awesome.
Today I'm joined by my good friend Mario and Vit. And I'm excited for today, man. We've been trying to get this together for a while, probably about 6 months or so. We had COVID, and then we had work and craziness, and then you had a fight, and which is a good thing, and we're going to talk about that.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, I want to talk a little bit. Why don't y'all, for anyone that doesn't know you, kind of talk a little bit about what you do, and you wear several hats, and we can talk about all of them. But let's talk a little bit about what you, Mario, tell us what you do and who you are.
All right, fantastic. So Coach Mario Noviello, Jules been with me for a long time. I coach boxing. I'm also a PE teacher, and I coach this fine gentleman right here who's a professional boxer, and he's a fantastic professional boxer at that. So,
Vit, you have a fascinating background, my friend. I think we need to get into that. I want to start from the beginning, man. Let's talk about your origin story.
All right. The origin, okay.
The origin story.
The origin, yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Vit, V-I-T, some people say Vit, but it doesn't matter to me, Vit, whatever, just don't call me Bob, right? So, yeah, my origin, I came as a refugee from Vietnam. Vietnam has a lot of history when it comes to war with the U.S., communism, things like that. So when there's war, it doesn't just get fixed like that. It's a slow process, it's gradual, and because we helped the Vietnamese people, American soldiers during the Vietnam War. Vietnamese communists, they got issue with us. So it's like I say, it's like that little conflict. They should we trust them, or should we not trust them? That kind of situation. So slowly over time, a lot of people fled Vietnam as refugee, and some people stay in the jungle for like a long time. 2 to 3 years. Some people came to in the 1992. That was like around the time I was born, and they're actually living in U.S. now, like all over the place. Some North Carolina, I think is one of the most prominent one. They be in Texas and California, just find jobs around wherever they can be. So for me, I came to U.S. in 2003, I believe, 2003, and just through a refugee. I'm sure you guys heard of United Nations. Yeah. Yeah. They took the refugees and helped them, find a place to live. We actually stayed in the refugee camp for almost a year.
In the U.S.?
No, it was in Cambodia.
Okay.
It's between Vietnam and Cambodia, but it's not, actually in Vietnam, but it's actually in Cambodia.
Wow.
So yeah, So
how old would you have been?
Probably like 8, 9 years old.
Do you have pretty vivid memories of all this?
Yeah, I have pretty good memory. I mean, some good memories, some bad memories, but.
So what was life like before? So you were, how normal of a life did you have before you left Vietnam?
I was just, a student, and also after, school, we would go straight to work, help our parents out, because my dad at the time, he wasn't there to be involved. Communist regime was looking for him. They were looking for him. So eventually, he was like the savior. He came back magically one night after like been gone for like 6 months, and he's like, "Hey, we gotta go."
Wow.
Like, where are we going? I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know.
So you remember him like, what happened? So you were asleep, and I
was sleeping. Yeah,
and he came into your room and said, "Hey, I'm back.
I'm back." Out of nowhere, I was like, "Where you been? I thought you were hunting."
Yeah.
That was his excuse, because really they were after him. They were trying to get him.
And they would have been the government, the Communist Party, basically.
Yeah.
So they thought that him or his family or somebody had been helpful to the United States at some point when they were there. Is that what that was all about?
Well, not necessarily. It's because like between the native people there and the Vietnamese, Vietnamese, they're actually are ancestors. They're related to Chinese, right?
Okay.
So before all the French influence and all that, Chinese basically are the ancestor of Vietnamese. You know,
Okay.
so they took over the nation there and you know become the country it is today. You know, Vietnam, and you know before it was the way it is now. You know, a lot of issues. You know, just like. You know, in U.S., right? There was a lot of issue in the past, you know. So it's gradually changing, and I think it's getting better now, you know, with the way things are now. But at the time, my dad, he felt like it's a threat to his life, so he had to run for it. He wasn't taking the risk of like.
So where was he for 6 months?
He was in the jungle.
Are you serious?
It's dead serious.
Wow, like literally living, trying to.
Yeah, he knows. I don't know how he does it, but all he needs is a watch, and he can tell north, west, east, and I'm like, dude, if I look left and right, I see trees. How am I supposed to know? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you know? Is like, you know, he's like he would use the river. He would look at the watch, and he look at the sun, and I was like, and then you know northeast, west, and he's like, yeah.
And he could catch food and know what kind of plants to eat. Like, how did he survive
plants,
then?
Yeah, you know, they got all sorts of weird plants in Vietnam. You know, so edible ones and. Some that you should not mess with too.
So he wakes you up and your whole family. Like, how many people were you living with?
Well, you know, I have siblings. You know, like I say 5. So my mom, at the time I only had 3 brothers. Like the other one, they born later on. You know, so
yeah.
But. So
he woke y'all up and said, "Come on, guys, we have to."
Yeah, in the middle of the night,
getting out of here,
like 1 a.m.
So where did you go?
We fled, go across the jungle,
really,
go all the way to Cambodia.
Oh my God! At 8 years old,
yeah.
Like, what do you remember from that? How long were you in the jungle? I mean, this whole story blows my mind. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like blown away by it. I'm like asking all these details, but I mean, to me, it's just fascinating. I want to know, like, you know, how did you get from A to B? Were you literally just walking through the jungle?
We got tired.
And I'm picturing like rainforest. Like, it's basically, when you say jungle, you mean jungle, right?
If you think about it, like some of the booby traps, remember that during Vietnam War? It's still there. Like, if you were to step on that, some of those, man, I know somebody that got injured. It's a relative of mine, and you know, it's unfortunate, but luckily we were not near that area. So yeah.
Wow. So then you get through the jungle, and that's when you went into the refugee camp?
Yeah, we passed that jungle, eventually reached Cambodia, and then, you know, there's some small villages around there, and we found the camp, and we just stayed there. And they had, like, Americans and some other European people. I can't tell what they were. I just know that they look Caucasian, and they're, like, you know, asking us questions, what happened, you know, where you guys from, and you know, all this other trivia question, I guess.
So how did you end up coming into the United States?
Yeah, I had no idea, to be honest. You know, I don't know where I was going. I was just following where my dad was bringing us. You know, I was like, hey, wherever life is, you know, it's there, right? Just make a live. And we honestly, while we were in Cambodia, we grew vegetables. Like we would plant corns and things like that. Like we just cultivated together, almost like making small little villages for ourselves, you know.
Wow.
And it make it works. And we had donation from I'm assuming, like, you know, nonprofit organization. You know, they just send like used clothes and you know, whatever people need.
So then you end up on a plane heading to the U.S. at some point?
Yeah, at some point, maybe like 2 years later on.
So you're living under those circumstances, basically a refugee camp.
Yeah.
Creating your own little community.
Yeah.
Did that for 2 years. So you're how old?
I'll say almost 2 years, because we went from one camp to the next, and then after that we stayed in the city of Cambodia, which is like Phnom Penh.
Yeah,
that's the capital. We stayed in there, and we're stuck in this warehouse. Man, it was hot. It was weird. It was
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you have any type of like education during that time? Was there any schooling that they were providing?
Yeah, they actually teach us ABCs, you know, a little bit English. That was it. I remember I passed and I earned a belt. Yeah, I passed my ABCs, guys.
Then you got a belt.
Yeah, I got a belt.
That's your first belt.
Alligator looking belt. I was like, hey, you know,
nice,
proud of it.
So then you come to the U.S. Did you come right to like Charlotte or Rock Hill? Where did you?
Actually, I stayed in Greensboro. You know, at the time. And it was only my dad working, and my uncle, you know, my mom, she was mainly take care of the family at home.
So when they came here, did they have a job lined up? or did they just have to come here and figure it out?
I can't remember exact details, but I know like we had sponsors, American sponsors that were willing to like help us find jobs, and they had some connection that help us, somehow. And I remember we ride the bus, the city bus. So we start from scratch.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a car or anything.
Definitely.
But we definitely had some help. People that were willing to like transport us, take us some baseball games. Sometimes our sponsor would take us to baseball games. So
and then you end up. So when you went into school, so you come here and you end up going into a public school. What grade was your first grade?
They skipped me all the way to when I was in Vietnam, I was in second grade.
Yeah.
Well, no. Actually, first day and first grade,
Uh-huh.
right? And then I jumped all the way to fourth grade. Wow. Yeah.
In a different language.
Different language, yeah.
Unbelievable. What was that like? How did that feel?
Oh, it was overwhelming at first, but I always had this I say a positive attitude. I don't care what people judge me. I had people pick up on me like my English, because broken English and whatnot. And we had some bullies like issues. Being a young kid, I think. Growing up, going to elementary school or middle school, I think it's always been an issue for me. Like, people bully you just because you dress a certain way, you look a certain way. It's
Kids are brutal, man.
Yeah, it's.
I don't get it, but kids are brutal.
Yeah, and I think when I was in my sixth grade, or maybe it might be fifth grade, I was bullied by a few kids over some stupid stuff, and I totally understand where, some of the kids that are being bullied, I totally understand where they're coming from. And sometimes you just feel like you want to be Superman, you want to be able to defend yourself, like somebody's pushing you and punch you in the face for what? For no reason. Sometimes it's just be like, oh, it's because you're too smart in class and you show out and they jealous,
Yep. It's
like that. And I felt like I was one of those nerdy kids, good at math, not really, Eventually, I wasn't even good at math anymore, But yeah, I remember one guy, he got mad at me because I was really good at art. I drew pictures, the young girls like, hey, draw me flowers, and I was like, okay, cool. I draw for you, and then I draw for you, and then she's like, "Thank you," and then she let me copy homework. And then the guys next to her was like, "Hey, how come you don't let me copy your homework?" And he get a little jealous, right? And then he started getting his gang and start bullying me. That was just one example, but I got bullied even in my backyard.
Are you serious?
This same guy. It was the same guy.
He came to your house.
Mm-hmm. And they had a gang with a baseball bat, and they beat me up.
Oh man!
And I had to defend myself. I had to punch, scratch, whatever, choke, bite. I was an animal. And I got black eye, and then I came home. My dad was like, "What happened to you?" I was like, "You need to." He was like, he just don't understand. Like, I wasn't starting any trouble. These guys just like to start problems they just like bullying. And he's like, well, you're a minority. You're in this. You got to stay away from it. Run away. I was like, dude, I can't run. He's just attacked me. What am I supposed to do? Like try to run, and they chase after me. It's 5 guys versus 1.
That's not a fair fight.
It's not a fair fight, exactly. So I made a vow to myself. And mentally, I was like, this never happened to me. So I pushed myself to be like training push up, and I started getting more muscular. It was kind of fun. I was like, yo, check my arms out. Yeah, it was. I feel like that was like a lightning spark, for me, and then kind of like transition to the way I am today. I want to be into the boxing competition or martial art in general. Just to be competitive, to be better. Not necessarily I want to bully people, because I know what it's like. Yeah. I don't want to bully nobody. If I have all these skills, I feel like I help people. I want to help people, and if we can help them, get them the mentality to think the right way, it's gonna help out a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to be bullied. There's too many bully out here.
Right. I kind of feel like that's what we do all day because we deal with insurance companies a lot of times that are kind of bullying our clients, and that's when we step in. We always say that we fight bullies. That's what we do all day.
Right.
So when did you actually start training in a gym? When did you start boxing?
I kind of lost track of when I started. You know, I'll say probably the last 8-9 years. You know, when I first started, I wasn't really like focused and like actually dedicated to it like that. I was just like, let me just try to see what it's like. You know.
So when did you realize you were good at it? Because I guess you're pretty good at it.
After getting punched in the face so many times.
You're like, wait a minute, I should keep working on this. I'm actually pretty good at it. Did you ever have that moment where you realized, oh, this is something I want to do?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's how it was. You know, I just come a moment where I had compliments from different people. Hey, man, you got talent. You got, this and that. I was like, and then I guess I just start believing what they're saying, and I myself saying, hey, I'm getting results and I'm doing good. And at first, my amateur fight, I didn't win, I didn't win. I was confident. Like, I was like, I'm going to destroy this guy, right? I come in there. I did good. After that, I was gassed out, man. I was done. I was like, this guy's like, oh. He was like, this. He smacked his hand. I was like, you ready to finish me? I was like, oh. And he did. He finished me. I was out. I was done. And from that, I learned a lot. I didn't take that defeat as, oh, I'm done for the day. I quit. Instead of that, I was like, you know what? I could have done better if I did this. If I did this, you know what?
Were you training with Mario then?
No? At the time,
that's why your conditioning wasn't right. I was gonna say that wouldn't happen.
Why his conditioning wasn't right? There's no way. Not on our team, baby.
Yeah, not with Mario.
No, yeah, that was like that was a long time ago. That was my first fight, so it wasn't with Mario. But eventually, how I got to know Mario was one of my friends. He was like, hey, I know this gym that's in Rock Hill. He got some guys sparring. You want to come? And I just came, and then I just see what Mario is doing, and he's like, he's different from other coaches. He doesn't like criticize his student in a way where, like, hey, you're doing a bad job here. Blah blah blah. You need to throw more power. Just to focus so much on being strictly criticized. He's more on like, hey, he empower you. I felt the empowerment. I said I like what he's doing, and I was like I see that, and I was like, yo, that's the kind of coaching. I don't want a coach to yell at me in my ears when I'm in a ring. I'm over here getting pummeled to the ground. And if I'm in the corner and the coach is yelling at me and saying I'm doing a bad job, like that's stupid, man. You know what I mean? I'm already feeling bad. Like after maybe I'm getting punched. You know what I mean? Give me some kind of empower, like some kind of hey. Let's transition your focus to this. Do more uppercuts. You're not doing much of this. Let's try to do that. Something like that. I like it.
He does love those backside uppercuts. That's,
he does.
That's exactly what he would say. So what was your first impression when you first saw Vit come into your gym? And
I mean, Vit had a lot of talent coming into the gym already. I mean, he wasn't like some chump off the street. Like what I like about Vit the most, honestly, from day one, he was ready to learn, ready to like accept like challenges, accept the criticism, accept how to get better. And he's always been like that. Ever since I've trained him, he's always kind of been that way of, all right, Vit, I see you do this. This is what I need to work on, though, because this is not working, but this may try. Let's try this. And he's always, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's try. And so that was kind of like the first impression I got from him. And I don't really know, how did you start staying with us? To be honest, I just remember you coming down, but I don't remember, like, after that.
He just kept showing up.
I think he just kept going up, to be honest with you.
You're like, why he's still here? Yeah. So you just kept showing up, working out with Mario, and basically that's where you train all the time now, right?
Yeah, majority of my time. And besides being on my own time, I know Mario, he got other obligations and stuff. So like on the gym time, I go train with Mario and the other coaches in the gym.
So you're on your about to be third professional fight.
Yes, sir.
What was your professional career like before you went pro?
Before I went pro?
Yeah.
Well, I was becoming the Golden Glove champion, and then I tried to go to regional. I didn't win that fight.
Lost on a split decision, by the way, to the regional Golden Glove champion of the Southeast.
Just that's right. I remember hearing about that.
Split decision.
Yeah. Split decision.
Close fight.
Because remember all the detail. I just know I didn't make it to. the goal was trying to make it to the national, but I lost at the regional. But it was a good experience, and even so, after that, we competed against one of the Golden Glove champ around my weight class.
South Carolina
Golden Glove. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I went against him. I know he was a tough guy. You know, he was very slick and very talented, and I felt like it was a good fight. But I felt like I was one step ahead. So it could honestly I could have went other way. Either way, but I felt like I got the upper hand. So I won that fight, which is good for me.
So, like I said, you're on your third professional fight. You're about to be 3-0. We're going to be optimistic. But you won your first two fights. I saw the last one, and man, I mean, to call that a fight is a very generous use of the term. I mean, that was about as one-sided as a professional fight I think I've ever seen. Was it 30 seconds long or something like that?
Very close. I think it was
like 29.
Yeah, it was actually
29,
really close.
Right at 30 seconds.
And
30. I mean, he basically said no more. Like he took a knee and that was it.
Yeah.
But you throw a lot of volume. It seemed like in that 29 seconds.
Yeah.
Is there a certain fighter that you kind of model your style after, or coach? What do you kind of? Because you've seen and watched a lot of fighters. I know who I think of, right? But who does Vit remind you of?
Honestly, Vit reminds me of Manny Pacquiao. Like hands down, 100%. He boxes like him. He has his hands low like him, which I get mad at him all the time about his hands being low. But it's just Vit comes in he's a southpaw boxer just like Manny is, and his power shot is actually his two-hand, and I felt it many times because we sparred many times, and it's power. It's a lot of power, and he's dropped a lot of people off it. And so, but Vit will come in on such angles, like his defense is built into his offense. And everybody we talk to and everybody boxes like, he's not a traditional boxer. He's a non-traditional boxer. He doesn't, keep it high guard. He he's a little more elusive, but his defense is always built into his movement and that, or per se his offense. And he just literally hands down. I mean, you watch Manny Pacquiao and you watch Vit, and there is a very similar fighting style at least.
Yeah. Is that who you watch? Where does that come from?
I'll be honest. I watch Roy Jones, Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather. I watch I really don't have a favorite. I like certain thing about Manny Pacquiao. I like certain thing about Mayweather. I really don't have necessarily a favorite. I admire them for their individuality, their talent, their different talent. Like Mayweather, he's really elusive. You have a difficult time hitting this guy. If you're a head hunting type of fighter, you'll miss that shot every day. I think to break Mayweather, in my opinion, you have to decode his defense. You have to find a way to break that.
Good luck.
And there's a lot of
no one's been able to do it yet.
Yeah, nobody, right? Hey, my Donna, he got that sloppy one, but he didn't adjust well. I felt like he did pretty good. It got sloppy towards the end. He drained himself too. Doing that can drain yourself.
Over long enough timeline, Mayweather he saves so much energy. He's always well conditioned. He's so elusive, and you might catch a round or two, but man, God, that guy's so elusive. Yeah. Such good defense. But that's one thing. What do you get from Pacquiao's? Is there anything from his style or his game that you kind of pick up on?
Yeah, I definitely like his burst shots.
Yeah,
like he throw like ba 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 ba, ba ba, right? So it's not like just 1-2, typical 1-2 that most typical boxers do. Like it's a simple combination 1-2, right? Left, right. But for Pacquiao, he set it up in a bursted shot, and I like that about him.
So as a southpaw, how much are you watching like his footwork, because he's so tremendous at how he sets up those shots with his feet? Is that something you kind of pick up on with him as well?
I definitely admire that footwork aspect. But how he does it. In some way, I kind of like that. But I think I like Lomachenko.
His footwork's unbelievable.
Yeah, his
unbelievable.
I'm starting to pick up some of the stuff he's doing, and I'm trying to incorporate it to my own. I think it's gonna help me out a lot. But I definitely like Pacquiao's footwork and burst shots. But Lomachenko, he's to me.
Are there parts that you're working on, like saying, "Hey, coach, I want to work on that footwork," or "Hey, coach, I want this part"? And do you guys try to integrate that into training?
Yeah,
yes.
we have done
that.
Yes. We did when it comes to footwork, we have this ladder stuff. like you land on the floor, just start doing the footwork.
Speed
drill.
ladder.
Yeah, speed ladder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a lot of that, which is supposed to help your footwork, agility.
And stuff like that's been somewhat unconventional in boxing training, but all of a sudden, especially people watching Loma and his training, they're like, okay, well, maybe this is something we need to start doing. What for you? Because you've been training in boxing for what, 12 years? 10?
I started boxing college in 2004. I boxed on the college club team.
So then, 16 years now.
Yeah, 16 years I've been boxing or coaching.
Okay. So what to you has changed in that time, especially on the training side?
So, well, of course, you first, kind of focus on yourself to kind of be a better boxer.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you switch over to the training aspect, what I like about it is I like to learn from other boxers. So like as Vit was saying, which I agree with 100%, I don't really have one boxer that I like, but I like different things about different boxers. Like, for example, if you watch like Andre Ward, for example, his defense, he also does a shoulder roll as well. His defense is also amazing, and his footwork is also amazing. And so I like that about him. Or I look at Floyd and I say, okay, so Floyd has a lot of good footwork and it's more elusive. And then I'll look at like Vasily, or I'll look at some of the other good ones too. I mean, not even like Paulie Malignaggi, who's not like top tier boxer, but certainly not a bad boxer at all. 7th, he was ranked number 7 in the welterweight division at one point, which welterweight division, if you guys know, is super stacked.
Yeah.
But there's different things, and with Vit, we try to incorporate a lot of different things. I do try to incorporate a lot of different aspects. Like, for example, we have been working lately in the gym a lot of like the Vasily moves, like the quick side steps and then punch over. But going back to your question, just as you develop as a boxer and as you develop as a coach, there's certain things you take away from everybody you watch, and there's certain like just little things that make people tick that you can kind of pick up faster. And then when you start picking up those little patterns, just slight patterns, you can start breaking people down. And I think from start to now, I think that's probably one of my biggest things I'm able to do is just pick up on what's good about somebody real fast, and then what do they need to work on. And then if I'm boxing them, pick them apart, or if I'm coaching my boxers, hey, let's look for this, let's look for this, let's look for this, because this is obviously not open, and this is open here, So that is definitely a big, one of the biggest things that I think I've improved on as a coach, even in the last couple of years, but all over the 16 years.
So we briefly mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that you wear a lot of different hats. And I think what's actually cool about that is how each of those roles. So, I mean, you're not only, boxing trainer, you're, an expert nutritionist, you have the military background, the physical education and, the physical training part of it, not to mention the boxing part of it, the teaching aspect of it with your background as a teacher as well. How do each of those little bits, because it's almost like Voltron formed into like this like boxing coach, you know what I mean? Because you have all these different parts that it's like, how do all these things come into one person to channel it into boxing? How do you incorporate all those different backgrounds and roles into Vit?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is our team uses a lot, especially with Vit, a lot of science.
Mm-hmm.
I came in the boxing world, and people were like, you shouldn't lift weights. I'm like, that's BS. You should always lift weights as an athlete, and so the thought process I'm coming from is very much a scientific background, from the exercise science background I have, nutrition background I have. And so we incorporate a lot of that stuff. We'll do hand-eye coordination. I mean, we incorporate so much of these different things. As you said, I'm kind of busy here and there. And so I think, but they all come together though. I mean, being a teacher and a coach is no different. It's just a different classroom. That's a really, truly statement. And so I think that has really helped me kind of, as Vit was saying earlier, like, it's one thing to criticize. It's another thing to criticize and critique. If you're always on somebody's, tail all the time, they're not going to get better. They're going to hate you, have resentment. And to learn how to communicate through the communicational forms, how to take care of that. But for Vit, I mean, he's such a good athlete, man. It's like when you ask for an athlete to come to your gym, and you ask for it, in your mind, you're thinking all the things that you want. You want somebody who listens, who takes into heart, who works outside the gym, who does all these things. And literally, Vit was just that like perfect storm of coming in the gym. I mean, Vit's improved leaps and bounds, since he's been with us. I mean, he came from an 0-2 background and then came to our gym and then has flourished. I mean, even last year he took off, and we were going to take him to the Eastern qualifiers, which is a route to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. I mean, we did have a hiccup there because we found out he has a American refugee citizenship, so he's not eligible for it So that's why we decided to go pro. Otherwise, the other choice was to try to get to the Olympics.
Yeah.
With Vit.
And you're right. I mean, you see, and from what I've seen with Vit, I mean, there's a reason why they call you the King Cobra, right? I mean, you're like, your physical ability is obviously there. Like you're, incredibly fast and incredibly quick and good sharp reflexes. And when you start to see the training and the technical skill and the style and everything come together, you really start to wonder, where could this go? Like, honestly, it seems it's one of those situations and where, the right team and the right boxer and, everything kind of comes together. I mean, I know you're really early into your career. Where do you see this becoming your full-time career? Do you see this kind of, where do you see your career, Vit, where do you see you ending up in 5-10 years?
So 5-10 years, trying to be the WBC champion.
That's what I like to hear. Amen. I'm glad to hear that.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm aiming high. At the moment, I'm kind of in a sense working 2 jobs. I'm doing this part time, and then I'm doing my day job doing IT. I'm actually working for Spectrum. The internet service provider, and we, troubleshoot and whatnot. So before that, I was doing something else, warehouse, and I was like, hey, I still have my experience here. Let me get back into that. So other than that, that's what I do on a day, and then after I'm done with that, I go train. So I'm looking to, try to make boxing my primary career, and hopefully retire from there. Try to get that belt.
Yeah,
try to live that dream.
So about how many pro fights into somebody's career does that transition really start to occur where this becomes, you're dedicated full time and that's it?
Gotta get about 15.
Get about 15?
Get about 15 good wins on our belts. And then you start getting recognized by some of the organizations. Mm-hmm. Start by, by 10, I want to try to get some low end belts for Vit. Like there's, WBC is up here. It's the WBC, WBO, IBF, WA. They're the top belts. WBC is one of the most well known. But there's some mid tier ones and there's some low tier ones. And by its 10th fight, I'm looking for those mid to low tier belts. 100%. And then when you start getting those, then you start getting looked at by somebody like Top Rank, or then you start getting on the radar of people on like Bob Aaron. You're not on his radar, but I think I've heard of that guy,
Yeah.
And then that's when it starts becoming, you get the lucrative side of boxing.
Yes, and people start hearing about you, start to develop that fan base.
Yep.
And so your last fight here we were all fortunate enough that it was in Rock Hill, so a lot of people around here could go see it. Yeah. And a lot of people came to see you. I know you don't live in Rock Hill, but we claim you. You're Rock Hill. But
it's close. It's close.
You're
it's
close.
In the border.
Exactly. So you live in Charlotte, though, right?
Yeah, it's in Charlotte.
Well, that's Rock Hill. We claim you. You have a fan base in Rock Hill. Like this is where your gym is. There's a lot of people that know about you here.
Yeah.
And you're a part of what's quickly becoming known as a boxing scene. The Rock Hill boxing scene. It's like it feels like it's overnight, but I know you've been working towards building this up for years.
Absolutely.
But it's like all of a sudden it's starting to just kind of take off. I mean, we've had already 2 or 3 cards in Rock Hill.
I want to add to that.
Yeah.
There's already 4 promoters now putting shows on Rock Hill on a daily basis.
Wow. And a lot of those shows have Rock Hill boxers.
Yes.
So it's not just there's a fan base here, there's fighters here.
Mm-hmm.
And, we always hear Rock Hill, is Football City, USA. And, everyone knows that we have, more professional football players per capita than anywhere else. But really what that says is there's a lot of athletes here. And obviously athletes plus dedication plus training and everything that goes into that success. But you're starting to see that manifest a lot in boxing. Mm-hmm. And so you have a fight coming up. You have, 3 fights actually before the end of the year. Yep. October 24th, November 7th, and then one in December, right?
12th.
Okay. What do we know about the one coming up in October?
Well, I'll take that one.
All right.
Being his manager and his trainer, I'll take that. So the one in October, the guy he's fighting out of is, I think he's from Wilson, North Carolina. That's what we're looking at right now. It's a good fight for Vit. Vit should do well in this fight coming up, and that's the one in October. The one in November is a step up for Vit. Vit's going, we're in boxing, you step up. It's like a ladder, you know. The first couple of fights are here, next fights are here, and then you progress up to the top. And so the one in November 7th is a step up fight for Vit. The guy we're looking at is definitely a pretty good boxer for sure. We're looking at Indianapolis, Indiana is where he's coming from. So not just around here, he's coming from a distance away. And we're stepping up. I mean, because Vit, he's such a great athlete. I wanted to mention one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only athlete I know that slept in his car, come to practice, go to work.
Yeah.
Or came right from work, slept in his car, and then come out to practice. Like, that's a level of dedication that this gentleman has done, and it's resulting. I mean, look where we're at. We're about to be 3 fights in. We just signed the contract for his 4th fight. You know, that fell through, but we got to get another contract. But still, he's got 5 fights by the end of the year, and COVID tried to slow us down, but we're just keep marching right through.
COVID stole 6 months from you.
Yep, so he did.
And you're still getting 5 fights in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of unheard of to see somebody fight in 3 months, but I mean, really, you're talking about one of them is only 2 weeks from 2 weeks apart.
Yep.
And then another one, 30 days basically behind that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you ready for that?
Oh yeah.
I saw your last fight. I mean, you didn't take a lot of punishment, but let's just, that's still a lot. I mean, to stay in fighting shape for that long and to try to peak over a 3-month time.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges does that present for you?
I mean, when it comes to fight, right? I just focus more on training, right? Just stay ready no matter what. And then when the fight's offered, I just take it. You know, I mean, whether it be like, we got 1 month to prepare. If it's good to go, we just go. I mean, I'm already in shape. Like, I try to stay. I don't want to be like overweight. Even during the pandemic, I'm always like doing cardio, working, keeping my skills sharp. Keep sharpening that pencil, right? Keep it sharp in your arsenal. So I was always stay. Keep on my what is it called? Muscle memory.
Yeah.
Your muscle memory. When you're punching, you don't have to think.
When you're fighting 3 fights back to back, like how do you stay ready for that?
Ultimately, hitting muscle memory. You even when we had the pandemic, right? Most gyms are closed and whatnot, especially North Carolina. So I work on muscle memory a lot, like punching combination, when I'm on a certain position and whatnot. I work a lot of muscle memory punches, obviously road work. That should be like do it at a time you have a lot of time on. Better weekdays, weekends, whatever. Do a lot of road work. Definitely do a lot of pads. If you don't have somebody, just hit the bag. If you got somebody, just do a lot of different moves, and I feel like that help out a lot. Prepare for your conditioning.
Yeah,
conditioning. I really believe in muscle memory, and it helps a lot in the fight because when you're in the ring, you don't have time to think necessarily. You think 1 second, that's it.
Well, I guess that's the good news. I mean, we call it ring rust. You're not going to have any ring rust building up in 2 weeks. I mean,
right.
You don't have to worry about that setting in. So at the end of the year, you'll have 5 fights under your belt for this year, which even if COVID hadn't been here, that's probably what you had been aiming for.
Yeah.
As the level of competition starts to increase, are you going to aim for 5 fights again next year, or do you kind of scale that back a little bit as they get presumably a little bit harder?
That's a good question, honestly. To me,
we'll see how they go, right?
Yeah, I want to actually get more if I can. Kind of squeeze in and see if possible. Like if it's 5, we take 5. If we can squeeze maybe 7, it really depends on what exactly is happened at the time. See what's going on, and then my manager, my coach, he handled that aspect. I focus more on hey, I'm
just be ready.
Be ready. Yeah, I'm in shape. I'm ready. Rock and roll. That's it.
So what do you expect the next fight and the next fight to be for you? Because we've mentioned a few times, the last fight was
a joke.
Yeah, it was.
The guy was a
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, he was a bum.
He was not ready for you. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So how eager are you to get that like real competition? And because the last fight you had, like I said, was kind of. You said it was kind of a joke.
He didn't want to box Vit.
He wasn't
scared.
He just wasn't ready for you. Are you excited to get that first fight where you're like, okay, this is a little bit more evenly matched and really kind of test what you've built over the last few years?
Yeah. So this next fight, I'm hoping the opponent he'll put more heart into the fight, because like if you just step into boxing, I'll throw like one good stunt shot, the one that kind of sting, right? And if that hurts you and you kind of like quit on that, I'll be disappointed. But I'm looking for an opponent that's like, I've hit you, you show me that you want to continue to fight, like do more than just like take punches. I want him to like actually go ahead and give me a challenge, because I'm not just trying to. Of course, I want to win, but I want to enjoy the fight, like in the ring, I enjoy it. Hey, look, I might get busted nose, busted lip. I enjoy it because it's like, think about video games. When you play video games, you play level 1, it start get boring. You want level 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah.
So like I feel like my opponent, my last one, he's not in the same league with me, so I beat him easily. Like he's not in the same, and I beat him mentally. That's all it was. I beat him with a triple jab. A triple jab. He came rushing in, hook. It was a simple move like that, and he just felt like, oh, you know what, man,
that was too much.
Yeah. And I feel like he quit because he's a whole different level from me.
Yeah.
Like I'm like over here, I'm not trying to be like ego, but I feel for real, I'm pretty sure he had that mentality. Like when you step into a fight like that. So hopefully this next opponent, he give me some pushback. Hit me.
Well, for everyone watching, I kind of hope so too. Not that I mean, I want you to win, obviously, but it's always good to see a more evenly matched fight.
Yeah.
So how do we watch the next one? So I know it's going to be October 24th, but where is it, and how does someone watch?
It's in Greenville, South Carolina. So we are going outside of the Rock Hill area. We're going to kind of build around the South Carolina area a little bit, but it's in Greenville, South Carolina. There will be a pay-per-view option, and if you do want to come, I mean, we'll have tickets for you. Yeah, we'll have tickets for you guys. I'll get to the website when I get to it, but I'll definitely share the website with you. And then, but the great thing about it is we have the pay-per-view option.
Yeah,
it's a $19.99, especially when Vit starts going out of town, because when we get past a couple fights here and there, we got to start traveling. It's going to be a little bit more traveling for us. I don't want to spoil a lot, but we actually got offered a big international fight in March. So I'm not going to say much about it. We're still kind of talking about it, but it is a really big opportunity for us to go internationally.
That's awesome.
Again, I won't mention about it, but it's as we go through this, hopefully we'll have some pay-per-view options too. When people are local, they can kind of watch or come with. If they want to come, that's great. But so it will be a option there. November 7th will definitely be in Rock Hill. It'll actually be in the newest facility in Rock Hill, the multi-million-dollar facility.
Oh yeah, the new Rock Hill Athletic Center.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't been there yet personally. I wanted to go. I just haven't been there.
Cool.
Yeah.
We can go by there. I'll take you by there so you can see it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But that's where his next fight will be in November. So
awesome. Well, let's do this again.
Please.
Let's do this again, maybe before the end of the year, or right after the year, and we could talk about how your 3 fights back to back went, and kind of talk about what the next step is from there, and kind of keep everybody in the loop with what's going on with Vit. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Sound like a plan.
Awesome, man. Well, let's wrap it up for now.
All right.
I appreciate y'all coming in. Awesome. Thanks for listening in to Schiller Hamilton Podcast, and we'll look forward to y'all coming back next time.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yep. Thank you, sir.